It all started on a cold Monday morning in a towering glass building owned by one of the richest men in the city. People in suits rushed by, their eyes glued to phones, minds filled with meetings, investments, and fortunes. No one noticed the little girl standing quietly by the front doors, except the security guard, who frowned when he saw her tiny, dirt-smudged hands holding a folded piece of paper. She couldn't have been more than 9 years old. Her shoes were worn out, her coat too thin for the weather. But her eyes carried something most adults didn't have: determination. She took a deep breath, tightened her grip on the paper, and walked toward the receptionist. "Excuse me," she said in the sweetest yet firm voice. "I'd like to apply for a job." The room fell silent. The receptionist, a woman used to dealing with millionaires and CEOs, blinked in surprise. "A job?" she asked, unsure if it was some kind of prank. But the little girl nodded. "Yes, I need to earn money. My mom is very sick, and we don't have enough for her medicine." There was a pause. Then murmurs filled the room. But the little girl didn't flinch. She walked right past the confused receptionist, past the stunned security guard, and into the elevator before anyone could stop her. Her destination? The top floor, the office of Mr. James Holloway, the billionaire CEO known for his cold heart and gold touch, the man who turned a small garage startup into a financial empire worth billions. As the elevator doors opened with a ding, she stepped out, heart pounding, but her steps firm. Mr. Holloway was on the phone, closing a multi-million-dollar deal when he noticed a small figure walk into his office. "Who let a child in here?" he barked. But then he looked into her eyes and paused. Something about her stopped him mid-sentence. She walked up to his desk, stretched her arm, and handed him the piece of paper. "This is my resume," she said simply. He took it confused and opened the paper. His eyes scanned the childlike handwriting. It wasn't a typical resume. There were no degrees, no fancy titles, just a list. "I can clean. I can cook noodles. I can sing to make Mommy smile. I don't complain. I just want to help." Below that she wrote, "Please give me a job, any job. I don't want money for toys. I need it for my mom's medicine. She's all I have." The room was silent. The billionaire, the man known for building wealth, riches, and fortune, the man who once said emotions are a liability in business, suddenly felt his chest tighten. His hands trembled as he finished reading. He looked up at her, but she wasn't crying. She wasn't begging. She just stood there waiting, and something inside him shattered. His voice cracked. "What's your name?" he asked. "Lily," she answered. "Lily Carter." That name would soon be known by every millionaire and every newspaper in the country. But in that moment, Lily didn't know what would happen next. She just knew she had to try. And Mr. Holloway, he would never be the same again. What happened next shocked everyone in the building, and even made headlines the next morning. But there was one detail in her story that Mr. Holloway hadn't read yet. And when he did, it would change everything. Mr. Holloway sat in stunned silence, the resume still in his hands. His office, usually filled with the hum of productivity and wealth-driven ambition, felt frozen in time. For a moment, he wasn't a billionaire. He wasn't a CEO. He was just a man, staring at the handwritten hopes of a desperate little girl. He leaned back in his leather chair, glancing once more at Lily, who now looked slightly nervous, shifting her weight from foot to foot. "Lily," he said slowly, "how did you get all the way up here?" She looked him straight in the eye and replied, "I just walked. No one really noticed me until now." Her words hit him harder than he expected. A building full of wealthy people, and not one had stopped to ask why a child was wandering around alone. Not one except him. Too late. He picked up the intercom and buzzed his assistant. "Cancel my meetings. All of them." The assistant stammered on the other end, confused. "Sir, you have an investor call with the board in?" "Cancel it," he said again, firmer this time. Then he turned to Lily. "Come sit down. Tell me everything." And she did. She told him about her mother, a kind woman who once worked as a janitor in a hotel before she got sick. She explained how they had sold everything of value, except for one cracked photo frame with her dad's old picture, a man who left when she was 2. They were behind on rent, and sometimes Lily would go to sleep with only a piece of bread. "But I'm not sad," she said with a smile, "because Mommy always says we're rich in love." Mr. Holloway swallowed hard. That line stayed with him, rich in love. As she spoke, the billionaire listened, really listened for the first time in years. And slowly, A story unfolded that no market report, no business pitch, no fortune could ever tell. A story of quiet struggle, of courage under poverty, of a child who saw wealth not in gold, but in heartbeats. And as Lily reached into her backpack and pulled out a tiny notebook filled with scribbles, her business ideas, drawings of a pretend bakery she dreamed of opening with her mom, Mr. Holloway's eyes welled up. This little girl had the soul of an entrepreneur, the grit of a survivor, and the heart of a queen. But then Lily said something that shook him even more. "I came here because I saw your face on a magazine once. It said you were the richest man in the city. And I thought maybe if I showed you my resume, you'd understand. Maybe a rich man like you still remembers what it feels like to want something more than money." That's when he cracked. This wasn't charity. This wasn't pity. This was a mirror. She reminded him of his younger self, before the mansions, before the jets, before the millions, back when all he had was a sick mother, a dream, and a city that didn't care. He stood up suddenly and said, "Lily, I want to show you something." What he showed her was locked away in a drawer he hadn't opened in 20 years, and it changed the course of her life. Mr. Holloway walked across his office and unlocked the bottom drawer of his desk, a drawer no one in the company even knew existed. It creaked open, and from it he pulled out a weathered envelope. He held it for a moment, staring at it like it was a ghost from his past. Then carefully he opened it and pulled out an old photograph. In it, a young boy no older than Lily stood barefoot in front of a tiny trailer home, his arms wrapped around a woman with tired eyes but a warm smile. "That was me," he said quietly. "I didn't grow up rich. We barely had enough food. My mom worked double shifts cleaning motels. I promised her one day I'd become so rich that she'd never work again." He paused, "But she passed before I made my first million." His voice cracked. "Sometimes I wonder if I traded my heart for fortune." Lily looked at the photo, then at him, and without a word, walked around the desk and hugged him. No hesitation, no fear, just pure human connection. That moment melted something inside the billionaire. For the first time in decades, James Holloway cried, not because of loss, but because someone remembered the part of him he'd buried under layers of luxury, power, and money. And that someone was a little girl with nothing but a resume made of hope. He looked down at her and said, "Lily, what if I told you you've just been hired?" Her eyes lit up. "Really?" "Not just hired," he smiled. "I'm giving you and your mom a new home. And you," he pointed to her notebook, "you're going to be the youngest co-founder in the Holloway Foundation's new Hope Entrepreneurs Program." The next day, headlines exploded. Little girl's resume moves billionaire CEO to tears. Social media went wild. Reporters camped outside the building. But Lily didn't care about fame. All she wanted was to make her mom smile again. And that's exactly what happened when Mr. Holloway showed up at their tiny apartment with a doctor, a team of helpers, and the keys to a new house. Her mother, too weak to stand, burst into tears when she realized it wasn't a dream. Why are you doing this?" she asked. Mr. Holloway answered with the calm assurance of a man who had rediscovered his soul. "Because your daughter reminded me what real wealth is." But that wasn't the end. Weeks later, Lily discovered a secret inside the new home, a journal with her mother's hidden dreams. And Mr. Holloway? He was about to reveal a plan that would make Lily not just a helper, but a legend. The journal was tucked away inside a drawer of the new kitchen, a soft leather notebook with worn pages and faded ink. Lily opened it slowly, not knowing what she'd find. But as she began reading, her hands trembled. It was filled with dreams her mother never spoke out loud. Dreams of owning a cafe that served homemade soup to the homeless. Pages and pages of ideas, sketched menus, even little poems about hope and healing. It was like stepping into her mother's secret world, a world where even the poorest woman believed in giving back, even when life gave her so little. Lily read every word with tears in her eyes. Mom had plans, she had dreams too, she whispered. She clutched the journal to her chest and made a silent vow. We're going to make this happen, together. When she showed the journal to Mr. Holloway, he didn't hesitate. Let's do it, he said. We'll build a cafe, but not just any cafe. This will be the heart of our new initiative, a place where people with nothing can eat for free, a place funded by the rich, but run with love. And so Cafe Esperanza was born. Located in the heart of the city's oldest district, it stood as a symbol of what can happen when money meets purpose. Millionaires and billionaires started donating not just money, but their time. It became trendy for the wealthy to volunteer there, and many admitted with humility that it changed them more than any private island or luxury car ever had. Lily became more than a symbol. She became a leader. With Mr. Holloway's mentorship, she began speaking at schools, inspiring kids to dream big no matter where they came from. She talked about money, yes, but also about meaning. Rich isn't about what's in your bank, she told. It's about what's in your heart and how you use what you have to lift others. People cried at her speeches. Investors who once ignored community work now back social programs. And slowly, Lily's story transformed from a news headline into a movement. But behind the scenes, Mr. Holloway was planning something even greater. One evening, as they sat overlooking the city skyline, he handed her a sealed envelope. "Open this on your 10th birthday," he said. She blinked, curious. "But that's months away." He smiled. "Trust me." What she didn't know was that inside that envelope was a legal document, one that named Lily as the heir to a brand new foundation worth $20 million, money dedicated solely to helping children who, like her, were born into struggle but refused to surrender. But before her birthday arrived, a shadow from the past would reappear. Someone Lily thought was gone forever. And he wasn't coming with good intentions. The week before Lily's 10th birthday, a man appeared at the gates of Cafe Esperanza, disheveled, eyes sunken, and clutching an old photo. The same one Lily had kept of her and her mother. The staff didn't recognize him, but Lily did the moment she stepped outside. Her heartbeat skipped. It was her father, the man who had disappeared when she was just a toddler. He didn't come with flowers or apologies. He came with demands. "She's my daughter," he barked, "and I deserve a part of whatever she's got now." Word spread fast, and soon reporters were swarming. Mr. Holloway was furious but composed. He had seen this kind of greed before, the hunger not for love, but for the wealth someone else built with blood and hope. He shielded Lily from the chaos, guiding her back inside. "We'll handle this legally," he promised. "You're protected now." But Lily, brave as ever, surprised everyone. She asked to speak to her father privately, in a quiet corner of the cafe. She looked him in the eyes and said, "You left when we needed you the most. We were poor, scared, and Mom cried herself to sleep. But I forgave you a long time ago, not for you, but for me." Her voice didn't shake. "I don't owe you money. I don't owe you anything. And you can't buy your way back into a story you walked out of." The man looked stunned. For a moment, he saw not a little girl, but a lion-hearted leader. Without another word, he turned and walked away, this time for good. Lily's 10th birthday arrived like sunrise over a mountain. The cafe was decorated with flowers and candles, and her mother, now recovering with the best medical care money could buy, stood beside her, smiling like never before. Mr. Holloway handed her the envelope, just like he promised. Inside, Lily found not just the documents transferring ownership of the $20 million foundation, but a handwritten letter. It read, "You reminded me that fortune without purpose is empty. This is yours now. Lead with the same heart that changed mine." She cried, not because of the money, not because of the status, but because her life had gone from desperation to destiny. Today, Lily is known as the Little Founder. She's built schools, shelters, and business incubators for kids across the country. The rich now listen to her, not out of obligation, but out of admiration. And Mr. Holloway? He says meeting Lily was the greatest investment of his life, a return not measured in profit, but in purpose. Because sometimes the richest people aren't the ones with money, but the ones with meaning. If this story touched your heart, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments what part of Lily's journey moved you the most. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon.